Okay, if you've ever wondered, how do I become a life coach? I want to get paid. How do I do that? Well, I'll tell you what, over the next few minutes, we're going to talk about that and what the different types of coaching there are and how you can approach this. When we can live life on our terms, on a holistic level, taking into account not just our business lives, but also our health, all of our relationships, from friends, family, to our partners, the world changes. So with this, there's a ton of different ways. And coaching and life coaching in general, unfortunately, there's a bunch of hucksters out there. Some people are really good at what they do. Some are a little bit on the hustle. And there's a ton of different certifications. So it's really going to be important for you to start figuring out where you want to go. What does the end look like for you? So I've worked with people who have 10 certifications, and I've worked with people who have no certifications. I personally have had a education background where I've got a bachelor's, but it's not in coaching. But I have over 30 years experience in 16 different companies under my belt. I've literally helped thousands, hundreds and hundreds of companies, thousands of individuals achieve more than they ever thought possible. So coaching is one of those areas where it really comes down to what is your experience, but also where's your heart? And I know this sounds silly, but the important thing with coaching, the really critical thing with coaching, is making sure that you have the intention of really wanting to help people. So like I said, over the next few minutes, we'll go through and talk about that. But when it comes down to it, there's a variety, like I say, of different tools and ways out there that you can do this. But for a lot of people, coaching comes naturally. It's something that people gravitate to, or if you're talking with people, you naturally want to help and challenge people. Now, the question is are you better suited to become a counselor? Are you better suited to become a facilitator? Or should you really become a coach? It really depends. A counselor is somebody who typically is working on the challenges of the past, things that in the past, the mommy daddy issues of the world that have held us back, the challenges. And this is not something to trifle with. This is something that a lot of times you need to have a master's degree and a lot of time and energy with. It takes a lot of work. Now, some of the work that I do may actually somewhat fall under the idea of being counseling type of work, but I am not a counselor. Now, a facilitator typically works with where all the answers are within the room, within the person, and they're just helping to facilitate and pull them out. I look at coaching as something that says, hey, this is dealing with the fear and what's holding me back of what's possible in the future. So counseling is typically rearward looking. Facilitation is looking at today, is how I look at this. And then coaching itself is very much helping people to drive forward. What are the challenges that are holding them back? What are those obstacles? And when it comes to coaching, to be effective at it, one of the key tools, and when you're choosing, hey, I want to go out and get a certification, or I want to have tools to use, making sure that you have tools that are going to help you be successful. What I started with early is that it really comes down to what is your intention when you're working with somebody. If you're going out and you're trying to just get clients and you want to work with them and you just want to get paid, man, people will sense that immediately. But if you go out there and you genuinely are leaning in and you want to help somebody, and your heart is in the right place, and you're being curious, you're being fearless, you're trying to help them, and we've got other videos that we've provided that help people on how do you set the right environment and what are the different types of certifications. Well, if you do that, it's going to be very, very, very helpful. People will sense that as well. Now, if you can layer in on top of that a handful of tools, I call them arrows in my quiver. Quiver is that little bag that you keep all your arrows in if you were an archer back in the day. And you can say, all right, well, now I need this arrow. Oh, no, I hear you, now I need this arrow. So when it comes to being this and you want to get paid, start with, silly as it is, start with leaning in and being very, very present. Show them that you're turning off your phone, look them in the eye, try and figure out what color eyes do they have, and really, really listen. Try and listen to hear, not listen to be right. Be curious. So what I mean by that is when somebody says something, they say this, you say, okay, take that half second, count to 3, breathe. Think about it. What is it they're saying? If you need to, parrot it back. Okay, I hear you saying this. Does that sound right? Okay. What does that mean to you? And then be curious and keep digging. Because the majority of the time, when somebody says, hey, this is my issue, it's not their issue. It's a symptom of something else, but they're afraid of it. So you're bounce here, you bounce here, you bounce here, you bounce here, you bounce here. And that's when you start getting down to that real issue. And when you can do that, if you can do that with full curiosity and just be present, just try and solve them. Give everything you can. Change their world. People will be amazed, be like, wow, that was wonderful. That helped me figure this out, or help challenge or drive to a next level. When you can do that, well, you're actually coaching. And when you do that, well, it's like, how am I going to get paid? The reality is if you do a great job with somebody, they will become a client because they will ask you, hey, so what is it you do? Well, this is a coach. This is what I do. I help people with this. Really? How's that work? Bzzz. Down here in Cabo, fishing. That's fishing sound. Fish on. Then you get to say, look, this is how I work. This is how I do these things. And I personally am a fan on being a hawk on price. And what that means is being very high on your price. If somebody says, I'm $500 an hour, $200 an hour, whatever, I'm at this price. And if they're like, ooh, it's like, okay, but I tell you what, it's guaranteed. What does that mean? It's like, look, you only pay me if you feel you got value. If you feel that it's worth it, you got value out of this, great. If you feel you didn't, then we part friends. Now, this does two things. One, it really makes sure that you show up and deliver and do a great job. And two, it takes all the scariness away from that other person. Now, if they still are balking, what you can do is back down a little bit and say, okay, but I tell you what, I'll do this first one for you at half off, just to get you in. And then after that, we'll see how it goes. But remember, there's a certain thing around scarcity. Scarcity creates value. So you're not just available for everybody. It's like, hey, I'm exploring to see if I'm a good fit for you as well. So we can explore if this is a good fit for each of us. But I'm willing to give you a full hour on me. You can do that as an exploratory or guaranteed 100%, you're not happy, you don't pay me. Now, once you do this, lean in and start really, really helping them. And it's going to help if you have a good set of tools that you can go in and use. And by the way, you can get those. We have a certification course, lifeon-yourterms.com. It's an 8-week course that would allow you to go. And out of that, we have a mastermind course after the fact that also stays laser focused on helping people build their practice, learn how to become better teachers, facilitators, and coaches, and also work on themselves. But as you start to do this and you have those tools, you start to get in front of the right people, you start changing their world, and little by little by little, you're going to start to create raving fans. That is always the objective. The more you stay laser focused on empowering people to be amazing, create great fans, raving fans, then they will start to build your practice for you. So, last thing to remember, when you're getting paid, when you're building your practice, as you start to go and as you start to roll on this, first question you're always going to ask somebody at the very end. Hey, this work for you? Yep, great. Great, let me know what your action steps are, how you going with that, boom. Okay, you know what? I've got room for 2 more people, even if you have room for 8, 2 more people in my practice. Do you know anybody that would value what I do, that you think I could help with, that you think I'd be a good fit with? Because you know what? You know them, and I want to work with people like you. So if you do, please feel free to connect us. By asking for that, people are like, well, I don't want to ask somebody for something. But if you think about it, if you just change that person's world, you just set them up. The greatest gift you could give them is allowing them to introduce you to somebody else, because you're going to help somebody that they trust and they value. And it's going to be the same rules. If it fits, great. If it doesn't, no worries. So when it comes to that, making sure that you're asking for those referrals right at the end, very important. So as you go with this, like I said, if you guys want to learn more about the Life on Your Terms cohort, it's a 8-week certification course where you actually go through the process yourself. You walk the walk. You learn what works, what doesn't. You get to see from expert facilitators and coaches how things work and what doesn't. and then you'll have full access to the tools, and you'll actually be able to resell those tools. So if you have any questions, look forward to hearing from you. lifeon-yourterms.com. Can't wait to see where it goes for you. Tell you what, it's nice when you can feel like the luckiest cat on the planet. Keep smiling.